Welcome to this presentation on the NYPD Police Officer Written Exam Test Prep. Our test prep has been updated and it now reflects test materials for 2023, and you can find it on the California Real Estate License School.com. Again, that's found at the California Real Estate License School.com, and this is the NYPD Police Officer Written Exam Test Prep. Now, the test prep requires, when you want to join the police force, you have to take the test and score at least 70% to pass the test. And the test has different things that it's assessing, like written comprehension, written expression, memorization, problem sensitivity, deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, information ordering, spatial orientation, and visualization.
All right, so we have created, this is, I think, the third year that we are starting to put out material for NYPD, but we have been doing law enforcement test prep in California and for Florida, and we also have the Chicago PD exam covered on our website. So if you are planning to enter law enforcement in any other state beside New York, you can also check our website for other test preps. Now, the specific test that we're talking about today is the NYPD Police Officer Written Exam, which is kind of a medley. It's kind of a mix of English language and then like logical reasoning and everything else that you talk about, deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, information reasoning. So, but a good portion of the exam is still English language. So just keep in mind that just like any other law enforcement entrance exam in California, in Texas, I would say a good 65 to 70% of it is focused on English language, reading, writing, spelling, vocabulary, and then they also test for certain technical terms for law enforcement specific words. So as you start our test prep, you can directly take some questions and answers, or you can go also and prepare with the vocabulary, spelling, reading comprehension, and we also have some tips and mock scenarios for the interviews, because once you pass the written exam, you're going to have the physical test, you're going to have the medical exam, but you're also going to have a department interview, so you want to be ready for that. And our test prep basically gives you some tips and some scenario that you can work on to be ready for it. Now, as you know, for like any other entrance exam, they look at your score. If you score, you want to score the highest to be on the eligibility list, so you want to work for it.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you end up in the top, the highest part of it, because they do pick the cream of the crop. The highest test scores will get the opportunity to move forward. So it is really important to prepare for this exam. Now, what would you say is the benefit of using a test prep?
I would say using a test prep would allow you to focus on what is going to be asked on the exam versus just going to a library and open a book about English language. So that's going to be very vague. But when you're working with a website and a company that creates test prep for law enforcement, they will narrow down the area of where you want to focus on that would be related to that test. So that would be law enforcement related, and specifically in this case, New York. So the entrance exam, again, I think is a 70% score here. Yeah, I believe is correct. Yes, and it's an entry level job. So as far as what you need to know, again, this test registration dates updates all the time. So usually the way New York works is that they have you register put in your application, and then about a month and a half later you're going to be scheduled for that date. So let's say you register in December. They will let the registration run all the way until like January, the end of January, January 31st, and then you get a date somewhere like in March to basically come and actually take the multiple choice test. So you have about a month, sometimes 2 months, to basically work on these tests. Okay, so you just focus, put in like an hour, sometimes 2-3 hours a day, depending on your availability, and prepare for what is going to be a career. Because, you know, of course the starting salary is not much, but as you know, a lot of people after 4, 5, 6 years, they end up triple their salaries. Even if you go on the YouTube basically channel of NYPD, they constantly talk about here average salary 113K after 5.5 years, 13K again after almost 6 years. So the starting salary might not be very attractive, but when you take into consideration all the benefits and the way the salary kind of, you know, basically double and triples after a few years, you know, it's really a career. It's not just a job, you know. So you're basically, you know, setting yourself up for a career with the city of New York. And also, I wanted to say one word, because we had students that used our test prep material for the MTA police officer in New York, and the material is almost the same. So if you are signing up for our test prep, just know that you can use the same material to prepare for the MTA. There are just a few differences as far as like the starting salary, or like let's say the age. I think New York allows you to take the entrance exam after 17, when you're 17 years old, all the way to 35 years old. And MTA in New York allows you to go from 19-year-old to like 35. So they're just tiny differences, but as far as like the actual exam and selection process goes, is very similar. MTA uses almost the same criteria as NYPD for their selection. What else we wanted to talk about? Also, I wanted to talk about the notice of examination. So when you are, I don't know what day, we are in January 2023 recording this video, but if you end up watching this in a year or 2 years, just make sure that you have access to the latest notice of examination that has all the up-to-date information. We will post that on our website, but you can also directly ask the city of New York to provide you that, because this has all the latest information about the physical testing, drug testing, the driver license requirement, medical and psychological assessment. All of that is sometimes get up to date depending on the year you take the exam. So you want to get the latest of this document. Now, if you have, you can maybe go to any of these locations in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, or Bronx, and request a document and basically ask more information about signing up for taking the entrance exam for NYPD or for MTA if you're going MTA, or both. And also, if you want to email them, the best email address is here. So it's oasys, OASYS at dcas.nyc.gov. So that if you want to, let's say, this is an up-to-date material, up to the date I'm recording this video, but if let's say a year from now, 2 years from now, you come across our video, make sure you shoot an email to that email address and ask them for the latest PDF notice of examination, and they have to provide you that. And it actually says on the notice, you are responsible for reading this entire notice before you submit your application. So make sure you get the latest one of this. And as I said, we're going to post this on our website as well. And for any other question, you can also contact us through the contact support section of the website. We are specialized in test prep for law enforcement and real estate. And our website is California Real Estate License School Do you want to add something as far as maybe just refreshing, getting things? So some of these people that are taking this exam, may have not been in school for like maybe a few years, or like college, or they left like high school, or they just to have a refresher as far as like all these materials that we're exposing them in the test prep. What would you say is how is beneficial to them to just kind of like review that, even though some of this material might be something that they've seen in high school, or also in like English 101, like at the college level?
So it is really important to make sure that you go through these test questions. This test prep really does help to prepare your brain, just to get your mindset get you ready for like answering certain types of questions. So the more you are exposed to these questions, the more it's just gonna come natural to you. Even if you've seen this stuff before in high school and stuff, the brain gets a little rusty and stuff. So it just really helps your recall, helps you get through the test a little bit quicker. And then you have a little bit extra time for those really challenging questions that you really need to focus on. So by just doing this test prep, you really just help your recall, help your brain just get ready for that test. And it only takes, a couple hours a day, just, going through questions and just really practicing, um, you know, exposing yourself to the vocabulary and the terminology in the test, and also just the way they structure their questions and stuff. So that way you really know how to answer these questions when it is time, and you get immediate feedback, so you know whether or not you're answering correctly, and that you are doing well.
All right, thank you, Miss K. I wanted to also talk about the appeal process. So if you end up scoring low, let's say you didn't use our test prep material, and you went and you somehow you scored on below 70%, okay? You can still take the exam. You also have the choice to go through the appeal process. I really recommend to not waste your time with the appeal process, because it's just such a it's like a bureaucracy. You has to go through a lot of level. You have to sign a lot of documents. It's really just a waste of time for you. So I would say, if you end up, or if you are one of those person that took this exam before, or either you failed or you didn't score, as much as you wanted to, I recommend preparing it again. Take our test prep and get yourself the right preparation, and then go back and take the exam again and score high, and just you're gonna have like the best start as far as your application goes. You're gonna be ranked among the highest applicants, and it's just gonna increase your chances to be selected, because as Miss K said, you are competing with other candidates, and this is not just a simple job at McDonald's that you're applying for. This is actually a career, and as you go forward in this career, you gain access to better benefits, better pay, and it's a very rewarding career as far as not only the financial aspect of it, but also ethically. You're helping the community. You're here to, I think one of their motto is that do not just love New York, actually show up and show us how you do, to protect New York, to serve New York. So this is our NYPD police officer written exam test prep. You can find it at CaliforniaRealEstateLicenseSchool.com. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.